Guys, well, that wasn't pretty. That wasn't pretty. Yeah, I'm not mad at the loss either. But that fourth quarter, man. Actually, just the second half in general. I can hear Whoop That Trick playing. That's all I have to say. All right, so few things to talk about, okay? Because I do have a complaint. I won't say major complaint, but it is bothering me, and I think it's happened enough times now that I want to bring it up, and it's regarding Mitch Johnson. Something he continuously does that I just don't like. I'm getting irritated, just to be completely honest with you guys. So we'll talk about the game as a whole, just my overall thoughts about it. We'll shout out our sponsor, BetUS. Shout out to BetUS, by the way. So we'll talk about that briefly, and then I'll dive into the thing that I'm really irritated with when it comes to Mitch. So everyone in the chat right now, you can let me know how you're feeling about this game. If you're watching this YouTube channel outside of the chat, I mean, you can just leave it in the comments how you're feeling about it. But, you know, overall, it seems like the overall consensus, at least on Twitter, that is that people aren't really that bothered by it, right? Like, we're irritated, yeah, but I think a lot of people can recognize that the Grizzlies are just better, right? They're just a better team. But with that being said, that doesn't mean that the Spurs were destined to lose this game, or, you know, they had no opportunity to win it. Obviously, they could have won this game. So a few people in the chat earlier brought up that they missed Sohan. So I'm going to go ahead and say this. We'll start off with this. Yeah, we need Sohan every game. Don't buy into any silly narrative that Sohan isn't that important or that he doesn't bring that much to the table. There's more to basketball than shooting a three-point shot. There's much more to basketball than that. He does so many things on the court. That's the reason why the Spurs will have him out there 40 minutes, because he can just do so many different things. And there's a lot on his plate other than just shooting a three-point shot. And he actually plays very well with Victor, because Vic, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, he absolutely loves being around the perimeter. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, we can pretend that no, it's the players that's crowding up the paint for Victor. No, he just likes playing around the perimeter, period. Now, I think that that'll change. You know, I think that he'll have even more balance as time goes on. But as it stands right now, he's the most comfortable when he's around the perimeter. And having someone like Jeremy, where Victor brings in that gravity, he's the perfect type of player for Victor right now. And Jeremy's role isn't to be a sharpshooter. That's just not what his role is. And he also plays well with Chris Paul as well, because his pick and roll game has been insane. He's third in the NBA as far as pick and roll finishes, right behind, what was it, guys? Jokic and Cat. I think those were the two he was behind, but yeah, he's third in the NBA. Sohan, that is. All right, so also just to add on to that, I came across this. I thought this was interesting. So shout out to PMM. I don't know if this is a Spurs fan. I guess this is a Spurs fan. But apparently he has a 98 defensive EPM. So this is Jeremy Sohan, tied for 17th in offensive rebounds per game at 2.7, only behind centers. So that's pretty interesting. And that we can actually segue into this game, because the Spurs had a difficult time rebounding at times. It wasn't that crazy of a discrepancy, but look, the Memphis Grizzlies did offensive rebound twice as much as we did. They had 14 offensive rebounds while the Spurs had 7. So you're definitely missing Sohan right now. But that is not the end-all be-all. The Spurs still could have won this game, okay? And that's where my gripe is. It's a small gripe with Mitch Johnson. But like I said, we'll get to that. So overall, all of the positives, Spurs did okay when it comes to their energy, especially in the first half. Second half, I think the Grizzlies just made so many adjustments. They were moving the ball better. Their execution was just much better. They looked like a team that's been together. That's what they look like. And the Spurs, they were just kind of on their heels the entire second half. And we just didn't have, enough defenders out there to kind of weave them away, right? It was just, they were just able to get whatever they wanted, essentially. So Grizzlies had 43 points in the third, 35 in the fourth. They did not let up, and the Spurs lost convincingly. Okay, it looked nothing like the first half. So players individually, there's no one I can really point to where I can say you were terrible, you were awful, or anything. Basically, only positives, to be honest with you guys. So Steph Castle was amazing. So 26 points tonight. He was constantly getting to the paint. He wasn't afraid to shoot the three ball. I thought that he had a really nice balance between when he was going to attack and when he would attempt his three-point shots. Obviously, he's not a great three-point shooter right now, but that will improve. Free throws, he got to the free throw line quite often. Him and Devin got to the free throw line the same amount. I'll just be real with you. I don't like the fact that Victor got no free throws. And this was not a matter of the refs just weren't refereeing, okay? Because I will come in here and complain about refs. Vic just didn't necessarily put himself in a situation where he could get to the line. You want those easy points as much as possible. And just to be completely transparent and honest, 13 points from Vic is not okay. Not only is that not okay, when you attempt 19 field goal attempts, I don't want more than half of them to be from behind the arc. I'm sorry. I just don't like it. Unless he is just on a roll and he's just killing it, I don't want that to happen. He was about 1 for 6. I think that's how he started off the game. 1 for 6. You just stop. Find ways to get to the rim. Find ways to get to the paint. The Spurs should draw up some type of action where Victor can get to the paint, but you do not do this. It was pretty bad. He lost all his aggression. It was pretty bad. We can say that he was tired, which is totally fine. I think that's justified to say that, but no, that's not okay. But overall, even in a bad Victor game, it's a triple-double. 12 rebounds, or almost a triple-double, I'm sorry. 12 rebounds, 8 blocks. I thought he had 9 blocks. Didn't he have 9 blocks? Did they take something away? Chat? I got you guys on low latency because you can answer it pretty quickly. Did they take that away? They took one away? I wonder which one they took away. Okay. Yeah, I could have sworn it was 9, but all right. I don't know which one that was. Anyways, all these early shot clock threes make my heart hurt. It gets your head hurt. Yeah, it gets irritating. It gets irritating after a while. So this is absolutely Victor's super young, but we know what he's capable of. It's inexcusable. You don't do it. You shouldn't have this poor of an offensive game. Period. But anyways, moving on. Chris Paul did fine for what it was, but his defense wasn't the best, right? But hey, it's only so much he can do. Devin Vassell, it seems like he's back, so that's something we should be excited about. He didn't quite make it to the 16 field goal attempts that I like for him to get to, but hey, that's just me personally. But he did a good job. He did good. It seems like Devin's found his shooting stroke, so that's something to at least be excited about. I already talked about Steph. Jampeni was okay. He was all right. Nothing crazy, but he definitely came back from his last game, which was pretty bad. Keldon was all right. 6 for 12, 50%, 1 for 4 from 3. So three-point shooting hasn't improved. Seems like it's still going, downhill from there. But he was all right. He was all right. And nor did he have any too many tough, defensive assignments. It seemed like Charles Bassey only played 11 minutes. Trey Jones only played 13 minutes. And yeah, I was bothered by this. I'm bothered by the rotations, but we'll get to that in a second. I don't really know what to commentate on this game. I don't know exactly what to say other than we just got beat by a better team, that the Memphis Grizzlies made adjustments. They look like a team that's been together. And in the fourth quarter, just didn't feel like we could really stop them, right? Yeah, I don't know. But I'll say this. I love the fact that Ja Morant dunked on Wemby. I love it. Was it hard to see? Yes. It didn't count, sure, but I think it showed a mentality from the Grizzlies versus the Spurs. The whistle was blown, and Wemby kind of backed up off of it, right? And it seemed like the whole game, when you guys talk about that lack of aggression that the chat was bringing up, like there was a lack of aggression. There really was. There really was. Hold on, let me see if I can find this, because I think it's more of a mindset type deal, right? You see he's going full steam at you. Wemby contested that shot as if the whistle was blown. And it's not just that play. Hold on. Gosh. Who posted it? It's not just that play. It was another play as well where the whistle's blown and Wemby backed off. Here it is. Whistle was blown. It's a jump ball. And Chris Paul is literally saying, keep your hand on the ball. Keep your hand on the ball. I think it's a mentality thing this game. You got to be in it all the way. Like, he's excited, but he's like, no, keep your hand on the ball. Fight. That's the main thing. Fight. So I'm expecting Wemby to be way more aggressive next game. No, Wemby called a timeout. Am I missing something? I saw the game too. He was calling for a kickball. Okay, that's even worse. All right, maybe I did miss that part. But this clip in and of itself is, I don't know. I just think it's a fall. It's a small part of the game. Is it that big of a deal? Not really, but I think it does speak to the game as a whole. Just the lack of aggression. Defensively, yeah, he had 8 blocks. That was amazing. That was great. But offensively, you got to fight a little bit more. Grizz were talking smack to our players and bench. I like it. Good. They should have been. And this is another reason why I don't want to harp on this too much, but this is another reason why when people say, like, get Sohan out of here, I don't know. Like, they will watch games like this and say the Spurs are soft. They were soft this game. But then you want to get rid of, like, one of our toughest players on the court. One of our most engaged, continuously engaged, and tough players that we have. That don't just take, anything. And by the way, thank you for the super chat, JJV. I didn't say that. I just read your comment, but I'm sorry. But yeah, anyways, just this play in general, you can see Chris Paul saying, keep your hand on the ball, keep your hand on the ball. The Sohan haters quiet tonight. Nobody mentioned Sohan, Bubba. All right. Did you just get here? All I know was subbing on KG killed momentum. Or subbing in KJ killed momentum. It happens. It happens so often. So all right. So I'm gonna talk about what bothered me in a second. Okay. So that's actually a good segue that you have there. The subbing in KJ, but I think it's bigger than that. It's something that's been irritating me for a minute now. All right. So big shout out to, just really quick, shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this segment. So right here, what we're looking at is the NBA championship winners. If you guys are interested at all in betting on that, just go over to BetUS. Use promo code YouTube150. You'll receive 150% bonus on your first deposit, 125 on your second and third deposit, up to $2,000. So if you guys are interested in that, please go do that. As far as who I would bet on, I want to do Boston because you're not going to get anything out of that. Nuggets is a tough one. You're not going to get anything from the Thunder. Mavs is a pretty decent one. I'll probably go with the Nuggets. If I were to bet, 10 would give you 160. So not bad whatsoever. So all you would do is put that into the risk, and you can see the win there, and then you just place your bet right there, and you're good to go. But yeah, big shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this segment. So let's go ahead and dive into my issue with this game. I don't have to bring this up. This is just an actual printed out a printout of the team and the opposing team and the amount of minutes that were played and all that good stuff. But this is an issue. This is an absolute issue, and I'm starting to get bothered by it. Didn't mean to do that. I'm starting to get bothered by it. The Memphis Grizzlies had 2 did not plays. 2 players in which they said, we're not going to play them. Coaching decision. The San Antonio Spurs had 6. And it would be one thing if I genuinely believed that every single player on this roster, other than the ones that were played, is a detriment to our team or that they're just going to hold us back in these games. I don't necessarily believe that. I think that you're putting way too much on Chris Paul, Barnes, and even at times Victor, because we can tell that Victor gets tired after a while, especially when he's targeted as much as he's targeted against the Grizzlies. So, like, it's very obvious. Steph Castle was on a roll, I get it. Devin Vassell was on a roll, I get it. But some of these, I don't quite understand it. And it seems like Mitch Johnson has really gotten comfortable with a subset of guys that he's going to play regardless. And this is not me being an advocate for, like, we need to keep Zach Collins and we need to keep Mamu, we need to keep Malachi, we need to keep Blake Wesley. It's not me being an advocate for that, right? I don't necessarily think that. I think a lot of these guys are going to be gone after. Well, I know a lot of these guys are going to be gone after this season, but they're on the team. They're on the squad, and you can get some type of utility out of them. If anything, they're hungry. You can get a little bit of energy and give Wemby and some of his teammates a break, especially the veterans. Give Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes a break. Our team shouldn't have to be perfect. Like, one thing that I always hated, and this is going to be a separate sport, right? But one thing I've always hated, and I had a huge gripe against the Cowboys for, because I am a Cowboys fan, unfortunately, I hate being one, is that our coaching was always, not saying Mitch Johnson's a bad coach, I don't believe that, but our coaching was always so bad to the point where if the Cowboys had a injury or 2 injuries, everything falls apart. They could just lose multiple games. They weren't that great at staying above all. Everything had to be perfect for them to be successful at all in winning games. And you don't want the team to be like that. Like, you want to be able to play not as many players as you possibly can, but just you want to be able to throw guys in and be confident enough that the coaching and the scheme and what we got going on, it'll be totally fine and we can stay, above water. But the fact that the Spurs go into the second half, get beat down, and not one point our coaching staff just says, okay, we're going to mix it up a little bit, really bothers me. It really bothers me. I don't necessarily agree with the mindset of these are the guys that are going to be here for the future, screw everything else. I don't think that is a good idea. I don't understand why none of these players play. I know we don't care, or Spurs fans in general don't care for Zach Collins that much. I know we don't care for Malachi and Blake Wesley that much. But you really want me to believe you couldn't have gotten anything out of them? Malachi Branham is a good three-point shooter. Blake Wesley, even though he's not the greatest decision maker in the world, and not the greatest shooter in the world, he's a energy guy. He brings a lot of defense. Mamu, same thing. He brings a lot of energy. It's just a matter of staying above water, not necessarily just drowning. And it seems like we would just play our players to the ground, even if we're drowning or not. It's just too much faith in it. I don't understand it. And I know a lot of people are like wondering, like, okay, what is the solution? What should we do? What could the Spurs do right now to make the team that much better? Not much. There's not much. The only thing we can do is play our players. Malachi and Blake Wesley are NBA players, okay? I don't believe that they're not capable of playing 6 to 10 minutes in a game. I don't believe that. They are NBA players. They're fine. Mamu, same thing. Zach Collins, same thing. I don't think any of these players come in and everything just goes downhill. Give some of our players a break. You know? Let's sign Jonathan Simmons back. You do not want Jonathan Simmons back. Go watch highlights of Jonathan Simmons. You don't want Simmons back. Ja Morant should be arrested for that dunk. That was a sick dunk. But yeah, I hope you guys. Brent Forbes. Who brought up Brent Forbes? Did I say Brent Forbes? I said Jonathan Simmons. Look, I don't want to harp on this too much because I do think that Mitch Johnson has done a fine job, but his lack of playing players has really irked me to the point where it's very obvious in certain games where, okay, we're not doing as well. Okay, they're just kind of dog walking us right now. We just need to mix it up a little bit. And the fact that we don't really is really bad. I think he gets way too comfortable with some of the guys on our team. This is inexcusable. You and the Memphis Grizzlies, I know and the Spurs have some depth too. Like I said, Malachi Branham is talented. Blake Wesley is talented. Mamu is talented. We have some depth. And I know the Grizzlies are deeper and they played, together a little bit more and they know exactly what they're doing. So they can afford to do this. But this is just kind of ridiculous in my opinion. I hope you guys know what I'm saying. We have depth, but the trust is missing. Yeah, that's how I feel, dude. That's how I feel. We have depth, but he is not trusting our players. I mean, it is like a lot of these games is like either Bassey play or Zach Collins play. That's the most mix-up you can get as far as who plays. Either it's Bassey or Zach Collins. I haven't seen Mamu get any minutes, Malachi get any minutes, Blake Wesley get any minutes. I understand City Sissoko, maybe he's not fully ready, right? The Grizzlies aren't afraid to play their roster. And I don't know, I could be wrong. This next game, hopefully we win it. But I don't know if you can beat a team like this without playing some of your other guys. The ceiling isn't going to cave in with Malachi being out there 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes. Nothing. Our team won't be destroyed by Blake Wesley being out there a few minutes. Like, it's just not. That's not going to happen. Lord knows we were already getting caved in, in the second half of this game with the guys we trust. Eddie kind of sucks. Or Edie. How do you say Eddie or Edie? I never really liked him. Even not this season, but the other draft. Not this past draft, but the other draft when people were talking about him getting to the NBA. I was not that crazy about him. Edie. Okay. Spot on. Exactly, fam. Preach. Thanks, guys. That's all I'm saying. You don't want to get to the point where, you have to have everyone healthy and everything has to go perfect for you to win games. You should be able to mix it up. You should be able to throw in Malachi for a few minutes. This is where, I do miss, Pop, because Pop will do that. You're right. Our rotations has become too tight. It's constant too, man. It seems like every game it's like this. Every game it's like this. Let's go to the last loss against the Bucks. Yeah, once again, Malachi played 3 minutes. This is garbage time. Blake Wesley, garbage time. Zach Collins, garbage time. Mamu, garbage time. Let's see. No Blake Wesley, no Malachi, no Mamu, no Zach Collins at all. You have more depth than what we're using. No one's going to save us. Nobody's going to fly in and save the day. This is our roster right now. Utilize the players we have. No one's going to convince me that there's no use for Blake Wesley and Malachi. I am not convinced of that. The energy alone that you get from Blake Wesley, in my opinion, makes it worth it. They don't have to be perfect. The guys that we're playing right now, it's not like they're 20-year vets, right? They're making mistakes too. No one has to be perfect. Definitely need Mamu in there. Yeah. This is not our roster for the rest of the year. I mean, even if you're prepping to trade any of these guys, I mean, you don't not play them at all. I think it's literally costing us some of these games. Yeah. Like I said, none of these guys are perfect. None of these guys are perfect. But hit these teams with all you got, That's just how I feel. Just hit them what you got. We don't have the perfect team. We don't have the best quality of basketball known to man, but good guy. Hurt him with volume at least. Hurt him with some quantity. Give him some different looks. Blake Wesley is going to bring some energy. He's going to be something to deal with. He might get a turnover here or there. He might force a turnover here or there, Malachi Branham, he is a legitimate three-point threat. Say what you want about him, but the kid can shoot threes. You want to talk about spacing? He can shoot threes. This season, in the course of 24 games, he's shooting nearly 40% from three. Last season, a bigger sample size, 35%. So we could probably guess that he's around that 35%. A 35% shooter just riding on the bench is crazy to me. Also, keep in mind, Malachi Branham was a lottery pick. Now, the Spurs end up getting him later outside of the lottery, but, most people thought that he would end up going to Cleveland in the lottery, late lottery, but, didn't happen. Yeah, that's all I have to say. That's my gripe. That's my issue that I'm having with the coaching right now is you're just not utilizing guys. And it's starting to get irritating. Malachi's a bucket. He is a bucket. Anyways, that's all I have to say about this game. Move on. Big shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this segment, as always.